All right, good afternoon, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. So, if you can let me know if you can hear me and you can see me, and then also give me a little thumbs up and let me know where you are in the world. So, my name is Raphael. I am an astrologer, tarot reader, numerologist, and energy worker. For those of you that don't know me, this is my bag, right? These are the four things that I use to bring you all kinds of insights for the daily astrology and or for the weekly astrology and various other bits and pieces. We discuss loads of different topics here on the channel. It's wonderful to have you if you are new, and if you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you. So let me just. What is going on? Sorry, you'll have to bear with me. I'm having a little bit of a moment. And as always, so tech gets weird around me anyway. But for some reason, it's just been extra weird over the last couple of days. So you will have to bear with me. I hope everybody is having a good time and a good day wherever you are, whether it is morning, noon, or night when you are joining me. Thank you so much for being here. I truly do appreciate it. Um, okay, you know what? We'll just do this. Uh, hmm, come on. I think it's working. Sorry, you'll have to bear with me. Yes, okay. Hello, everybody. I can see you in the chat now. Thank you so much for your patience. Um, yeah, just much, much appreciated. So let me put this here so that I can see all of your comments. You guys can obviously see and hear me, which is great. Always nice to know. So hello, hello, hello. Kelly McKeever is in Norwich, Norfolk. I'm so jelly. I absolutely love Norfolk. I actually very nearly moved to Norfolk, just because it's such a magical place. But I settled on the Midlands. Who knows? Maybe in the future. Tanya Schmier is in Leeds, so not far from me because I'm in the Midlands. Laurel Berg. Hello, 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 my Aquarius sister. We're back on track. Aquarius Diva, lovely to have you. Aquarius, for those of you that don't know, that's an inside joke. Aquarius Diva has been with me and on this channel for a long time, and she has called me Boo Boo Kitty for as long as we have known each other. So big, big love there. I'm a Kendrick. Good morning. Lovely to have you. Hello, Heidi. Lovely to have you. Oliver Twisted. What's up, my brother? Paul Grutzemacher. Good morning, my brother. I hope you are well. Dagger. Good morning. Atlanta, Georgia in the hizzy. Ontario, Canada. Love this. So it's such an international crowd. I love it. It's awesome. All right. So as you know, we are here to talk about Venus. Lady Venus, it is Friday, Freya's Day, which is where we get the term Friday from, and Friday is Venus Day. So when you think about it, it kind of makes sense, right? Venus is, so Friday is the fifth, well, technically it's the fourth, but it's the fifth day of the week. And for those of you that don't know, in her orbit, Venus actually traces in her solar Venusian orbit. Venus actually traces a star around the sun, and the emblem of the pentacle, actually the pentagram, is actually a Venusian symbol. That goes into so many other deeper topics, i.e., that Venus is the morning star, and anyway, I'm getting off topic. That's for a whole other video and a whole other look into things. So obviously, we're here to talk about Venus. When we're talking about Venus, we are talking about value. We're talking about worth. And truth be told, in the modern era, when we're talking about worth and value, money has a lot to do with it. But Venus isn't necessarily money in terms of the resources or the transactional nature of money. Venus is the wealth that we derive from money. It's the pleasure that we derive from money. It's what enables us or allows us to do what we enjoy. It's kind of like, the fruits of the labor that money provides, right? The other thing with Venus, Venus represents our talents. It represents the things that allow us to shine, right? The things that allow us to really express ourselves. And when we're thinking about Venusian energy, it is a very creative energy. Venus is known as the lesser benefic in the sky. And it is a very creative energy. This is, when you hear somebody sing, right? With somebody that's got like a really incredible voice, when you hear them sing, you're like, damn, right? And it hits you right in the chest or it makes you want to move. When you see somebody who's like a really accomplished dancer, when you see something that somebody's painted and it just really strikes you, when you hear somebody speak really amazing words, all of these things, these talents, these inborn talents and skills that bring esteem and make us appear like we shine or are valuable in some way. They're all Venusian energies, right? And as we know, Venus rules two signs in the sky. Venus is the ruler of Taurus, the sign that likes money and materials and pleasurable things, right? But is so much more than that as well. Venus, in terms of the ruler of Taurus, yes, it likes things that last. Remember, Taurus is a fixed earth sign. To me, Taurus is the epitome of earth. Just like because it's fixed, that's the element, that's the mode of the sign, and its element is earth, right? So for me, Taurus is like the epitome of the earth, whereas like Pisces is the epitome of water, right? Water is flowing and it moves and it's emotional and it's all of that stuff. And then it's a mutable sign as well. So it's mutable water, right? That to me is the epitome of water, just like Taurus is the epitome of earth. The other sign that Venus rules is Libra, right? So Venus has a cardinal and fixed kind of energy about her. These are spaces and places in which she really likes to be or understands those energies. Interestingly enough, though, Venus doesn't do very well in Scorpio, as we know, right? So, that being said, she also doesn't do very well in Virgo, right? But I'm getting into and ahead of stuffs. Anywho, to bring it back, Venus, as I say, is our talents, it's our skills, and it's also the value and the worth and the treasure that we derive from the things that we have. Venus is also sweet, right? Venus is sweet things. Venus is roses. Venus is flowers and hearts and love and connection and interaction because it rules things like diplomacy, right? This idea. So if you ever have like a challenging relationship with someone or you really want to make a heartfelt apology, use a really good Venus transit. Right? Because Venus is about diplomacy. It's about how we find a way to bring this and that together. Whereas, like, let's say Mercury is about dividing them, right? And looking at the two options. Whereas Venus is about harmony. It's about bringing things together. In terms of beauty and art and creativity, it's said that the most beautiful people in the world have the most symmetrical faces. And when you look at what is historically considered beautiful across all of the races in the world, right? And I don't know if you know, there's that model. She's African and like, when I say this woman is absolutely like, like goddess worthy beautiful. If you see her complexion, like her skin is, when I say flawless, honey, I mean flawless, right? It's not a blemish in sight. Smooth, beautiful brown skin. Like she's absolutely like exquisite, right? She's just next level beautiful. And her face and her facial features are like, it's like somebody's drawn them on. They're that perfect. That idea of symmetry, when we're thinking about harmony and diplomacy, when we're thinking about the Libran trope of Venus, we're talking about balance. And so when you're thinking about beauty, right, it's like, you know, like when you see those muscle-bound gods in the gym, right? And you can see like some of them, they all look incredible, and you can see that they've put a lot of work into it. But there's always someone whose body is like a little bit more symmetrical than somebody else's, and you can see they've really taken the time to work on that symmetry, right? Symmetry is really how we measure beauty, interestingly enough, right? The proportions of the body, all of that stuff is Venusian. As I say, the sweet part of it, wherever Venus moves through the chart, she brings a sweetening kind of energy, right? We get a sweeter deal. People respond to us better in that area of our life. We're that much more persuasive, right? I don't know if you've ever seen somebody who has Venus on the ascendant. They tend to be very pretty, or they've got that thing about them where they can just charm the birds from the trees, right? They've got that thing, right? You can't really describe what it is, but they've just got it. The other thing with Venus, when we're talking about it moving through a house, this can be where there's more diplomacy. Venus brings healing because she brings an energy of cleanliness. Wherever Venus goes, we feel a need to clean and clear that space up. Venus is a lady, darling. She does not like any of that grimy, grubby sort of, you know, unless she's in Scorpio, in which case it's a completely different story. Right? And we've just had the bitter old Queen Brigade. In fact, for those of you that are here and you remember the joke, it's an inside joke. Drop me some crowns in the comments, right? We talked about that a few weeks ago when Luna and Venus got together in the sign of Scorpio. We had a good old chuckle over that one. But that being said, like I say, when Venus moves through a specific area of your chart, she brings a sweetening influence. She makes you a little bit more persuasive. She brings a lot more harmony. The other thing that I love about Venusian energy as well, depending on where she goes in your chart or where she's moving through at any given moment, she will bring you gifts, right? Venus loves gifts. She loves sweet things. So one of the things that I've noticed is when Venus moves through the second house and the sixth house, that sweet tooth gets real, right? Honey, chocolate, flowers, right? Anything that give like, oh my gosh, Turkish delight. And I'm not talking about the crappy stuff that we get here in the UK that's covered in chocolate. It's absolutely awful. I'm talking about the real good stuff, like the proper, thick, glutinous, chewy, sweet, covered in powdered sugar Turkish delight. That is a Venusian thing. That and baklava. I don't know if anybody knows about baklava, but boy, listen, that stuff is dangerous around me because I tell you, I will go through them. Right? But all Venusian things. Now, that being said, Venus can also, in terms of her dark side, Venus can represent things like gluttony. Venus can represent things like greed. Venus can represent things like vanity, right? When you think about the glyph that is Venus, that's said to represent the hand mirror. You know, checking the hair and all of that good stuff, right? So it's not just that it's the great benefic and wherever Venus goes, it's sweet things. It depends on our nature. It depends on what else is happening in the chart. It depends on who we are, what we've been experiencing at any given moment. There's a lot of things that go into it. Now, that being said, the thing that I really enjoy about Venusian energy is that it makes things lighter, right? So it brings an energy of ease wherever it goes. So, yeah, right, like sweets and honey and all which are all wonderful, but you know when something's like too sweet, right? It can, when they say too much of a good thing and all of that stuff, it can be kind of like that. So I'm going to share my chart. Just give me a little thumbs up or let me know that you can see that so that yeah, just let me know. Mm. Do, 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 do. Yeah, what's that? Okay, excellent. You can see it. So, Venus is here in the sign of Sagittarius, right? So, we've got a very different energy. Venus is no longer like you are mine and that's all there is to it, right? Venus comes into I don't so I try to typify the planets whenever they move through a sign, right? I try to give them like a persona. And some people don't like that. Personally, that's cool. If that doesn't work for you, no problem. It's something that I like to do, and it's something that really helps me understand the energy. So Venus in Scorpio was like the dark maiden, right? With dark hair and like a long black gown, somewhere like a cross between Elvira and Galadriel. Right? If you fuse those two people, those two beings together, you'd probably have Venus in Scorpio, just to give you like a little idea of what that's like, right? When Venus comes into the sign of Sagittarius, when we think about Saggy energy is it's bold, it's dynamic, it's freedom loving, right? This is mutable fire. This is and truth be told, mutable or cardinal fire is it's pretty powerful stuff. When I think about Sagittarius, we're talking really here about the energy of the higher mind and wisdom. We're thinking about meaning. We're thinking about the future. We're thinking about someone that is absolutely cool, right? I love Sagittarius people because they are jovial. They're very fun loving. They're great to be around. They've got a lot of boundless energy. And they're straight talkers, right? One thing that I absolutely love about Saggies is that they just kind of give it to you as it is. Whether you like it or loathe it is a completely different story, but a Saggy will absolutely tell you what it is and what it ain't, and they'll be really, really honest with you about that. And that's one of the things that I love about them. It's like, when they talk about people that are sometimes too honest, that's a Saggy, right? Sagittarius and Aquarius, they're definitely two of the signs that are known to be a bit too honest at times, right? Now, that being said, this is a Venus. I consider this Venus. She's like, when you were in college or university or whatever it is, and you always knew that one girl who had like a paintbrush in her hair, right? She had baggy clothes, she had like baggy jeans on that were, questionably low, right? She had like one of those boob tubes, lots of those little scrunchy things on her arm, always had a bong in her bag, right? Like, and she had like that eyeliner that always came out with a little flick to the side. So they were a little bit mysterious and mystical, but they were very fun to be around. Very liberated in and of themselves. They really understood themselves on a bodily level, and they really had a lot of strong ideas, beliefs, and appeals. That to me is Venus in Sagittarius, right? Like she's really got a good, strong handle on what she believes, who she is, and right. Hopefully, I haven't offended anybody with this Venus. Right, you can't kill her sunshine. I love that. Yeah, literally. Right. Dagger says no bomb, but wow, call me out like this. That's this Venus for me, right? Like this just really cool, slightly rocker, totally girly, but badass chick who really is very sure and confident in themselves. And like And so, to give you an example of the difference, right? That's Venus in Sag. But when Venus comes into Capricorn, this is where she's got the pencil skirt on, the horn-rimmed glasses, that really tight fitting shirt that's just unbuttoned to here, to keep it feminine, but to keep it bossed up, right? Do you see the difference? And when you start to personify the planets in whatever sign they're in, this for me really helps me understand them and their energy that much more, and to really see how this shows up in our world, right? So, Venus in moving through the sign of Sagittarius, what you're really looking at here is how your Libran area of your chart and how your Taurus energy of your chart are really starting to express themselves. So, yes, Venus is sweetening the space of Sagittarius in your chart, and she's bringing harmony and diplomacy and creativity and love, maybe even flowers and gifts and all of that kind of stuff. But she's really helping you express yourself, helping you express your beliefs, helping you find a meaning and helping you align with that meaning at this moment in time. And maybe even bring some people around to your side, right? It's wonderful. This is a great energy. It's a fun Venus that is liberated and yet still still liberated but philosophical. That's this Venus. Now, look what's happening today. We've got Moon at 15 of Leo. We've got Venus at 9. Or I mean, it's past now, to be fair, but it's a very wonky grand fire trine, which is a nice energy for the day. Well, listen, this morning I had a spin class that threatened to destroy my life. I'm telling you, by the end of it, it was a 45-minute class, and by the time I got to the last 5 minutes, I was like, okay, I've had enough of this now. I was at that point where I was like an absolute mess, but I carried on going and it was good fun. All right, so speaking of this, when we think about the sign of Sagittarius, we're talking about the centaur, half man, half man, half beast, or half man, half horse. Centaurs are extremely wise. They're very deep, they're very philosophical, and they very often help us understand and integrate our animalistic and our humanistic natures. Venus is an energy of harmony. So, this is about bringing your higher mind and your lower mind together, right? So, we've got a few weeks where this could actually really help us get a handle on what we believe and why we believe it, and to make peace with that. And potentially, even as well, to make peace with somebody else's beliefs, right? The ones that have been shoved down your throat from your parents or your grandparents. Maybe this helps you understand, like, okay, you know what? Maybe that's why they believed what they believe. And maybe I don't believe that, but you know what? I can give them space and time and energy and freedom, just like I can give those things for myself. I can give myself the grace for not believing what they believe, and I can give them the grace for for letting them have that space to believe what they believe. So that's today with this grand fire trine that's passed now, right? But even still, it's pretty nice. So Venus is also squaring Saturn at this moment in time. In Saturn has just been an absolute ball buster. I don't even care about the YouTube gods when I say that. I'm just gonna straight up tell you, like, I love Saturn, and it's probably been the last decade that has really taught me to love Saturn. But I gotta tell you, this Saturn retrograde, specifically this one, because the last one actually wasn't that bad. But this Saturn retrograde, oh my gosh, this one has been hard. It's been really, really tough. So that Venus squaring Saturn over the course of the next, and this is going to take some days to perfect, right? It's a 4-degree orb at this moment in time, and it's applying because obviously you've got Venus, you've got Saturn in the retrograde. Maybe, just maybe, this is about your beliefs versus the spiritual practices that surround you. Maybe this is you starting to understand that in order to bring harmony and diplomacy to a specific area of your life, it's going to take you to really understand how that area of your life, like how you impact the world, and more importantly, how the world impacts you. There's something in this about really starting to understand that, okay, I can't just go through life like a bat out of hell, right? There's a part of whatever I do is going to have a ripple effect out in the world and vice versa. And because it's Sagittarius versus Pisces, both of these are Sagittarian energies, right? Sorry, Jupiterian energies. Why? Because in ancient astrology, Jupiter ruled Pisces as well as Sagittarius. And what's really interesting about this is Jupiter is currently retrograde and in the sign of Gemini. This is not necessarily a Jupiter that is functioning the best. And so, Jupiter in the sign of conversation and dialogue is really forcing us to look at what we feel, how we feel it, and why we believe it, and what impact that is having on our relationships, and potentially having to talk about it as well. And then Venus in that square to Saturn is kind of saying, you know what, the chance for things to just be sweet all the time has passed. And for now, you have to have the hard conversations. As we come into um, Saturday, so over the weekend, that's just going to start to really drill down, right? And to be fair, as you watch it, apart from the square to the moon, as Luna moves towards her final days of this lunation cycle, towards the Scorpio new moon, which is going to be very interesting. Um, I mean, I say it's going to be very interesting. I'm actually very much looking forward to the Scorpio new moon. Yesterday was the Luna Lacuna. I'll put a link to that in the description box below. We talked a lot about the Scorpio new moon. We did the energy work for the new moon. It was actually a really great session and some really profound stuff came up, I think, for everybody. So if you want to check that out, make sure you sign up for the Luna Lacuna. Now, this moon at 9 degrees and it's going to pass through the opposition to Saturn, right? And then obviously it's going to set up the T square with Venus. Now, remember what I said, whenever we see a T square, the planet that plays the handle or the anchor point, that's our way out. That's our way through. So Venus, bringing the sweetness of life, using your talents, your skills, or even your self-expression, Heidi, thank you very much, right? Maybe using that to find a way to express yourself that doesn't necessarily speak, that maybe allows you to voice your feelings and your emotions and your needs via the moon, and also sees you being really honest and upfront about how you understand what burdens, limitations, and or responsibilities are being imposed on you from outside. It's okay to have both of these experiences. It's okay for us to say, look, this is what I need. And yet your responsibilities say, okay, well, that's great. It's wonderful that you know what you need, but that's not possible right now. Okay, fine. Then the energy of connection and harmony and synthesis and bringing things together says, how do I match my needs and my responsibilities and still find a way to be free within all of them? Well, the only way really that comes to mind for me personally is, let's say you right, you know that you need some love and some pampering and some good food and some downtime and some rest, and your responsibility, that's the moon, right? And you know then that Saturn in the background is saying, yes, it's wonderful that you know that you need all of this stuff, but actually you've got to, you've got to clean the house, and you've got to get things ready, and you need to top up the stores because winter's come in, and you've got this to do, and you've got this to do, and da, da, da. Okay, so you know what? Write a list. Write a list of all of those things, and instead of just making that list all of your responsibilities, how about you mix and match them? So that you do one responsibility and one thing that you need, one responsibility and one thing that you need. And because it's in the sign of Sagittarius, the way that because obviously this is a sign of liberation and freedom, right? So the way that really comes through for me is you find the freedom and the liberation by designating what's going to be done on that list and the order in which it is done. Now, that might not seem like a lot of freedom, but it's as much as you can grasp when your life is saying, this is what's expected of you right now, and your inner self is saying, well, actually, this is what I really need right now. Both of these things in our lives and in ourselves need to be honored right now. And so Venus in Sagittarius is saying, you know what? Remember to keep it fun. Venus in Sagittarius is kind of like, in terms of what I've just talked about, your needs versus your responsibilities, there's kind of like a spoonful of sugar has to be sugar. That's, do you see what I mean? It's like, so, okay, maybe it doesn't feel like a lot of freedom, but you found freedom in it to say, okay, you know what? If all of these things need and must be done, then I'll do them in an order that is designated by me. I will be in control of how these things get done. Hopefully that gives some help or some insight. All right, so as we come into uh, Tuesday and Wednesday, I know, I'm very off the cuff, but what can I say? All right, so it's in my 12th house right now. Yeah, that's very interesting. Venus in the 12th. I mean, it can bring pleasant dreams. The 12th house is also the house of bed pleasures. So, bring it to the boudoir, darling. Do something with that, right? Venus in the 12th. Get a little bit naughty with it, right? Grab your partner and smooch their face off. Say to him, right, the kids are out of the house for the next 2 hours. It's you and me, big boy. Let's go. Um, I'm sorry. I can't believe I just said that. There, there are times I really wish I had that filter thing. Right, like, but it just unfortunately I don't. I don't. I do try sometimes, but it doesn't always work. So now, as we get into Wednesday of next week, it's a 5-degree orb, but I'm counting it anyway. Venus is going to start her opposition to Jupiter. And this is going to be where it potentially gets a little bit more. I know, Ollie, I couldn't help myself. I really do need to learn to just like, Raf, come on, you can't say that. Um, Let me have a look here. Watkins House. I was up at 3 a.m. remodeling my bathroom, and unfortunately, I'm going through a separation, so there's none of that going on. First of all, I'm very sorry to hear that. And I really hope that you find the solace and the healing that you need in the days ahead, because they're not, separations are not easy. But I think, and there's something in this as well, like on I'm not a psychologist or a therapist, but there's something in this. The remodeling of the bathroom, when we think about what the bathroom is about getting clean, right? The bathroom is about tending to our ablutions. And so the fact that you're remodeling it, Venus, right, doing that, making it prettier, this is in some way, shape, or form, and funny because obviously Venus is an energy of cleanliness as well. This is really giving you, maybe this is you deciding, you know what, I want to clean up my life in some way. And if it's the 12th house, this is you effectively not just cleaning up your life, but cleaning up your subconscious. It's like you're cleaning out the relationship, you're cleaning out the past. So as the relationship is coming to a close, Venus is bringing healing to that deeper sense of self in the 12th house. I hope that helps in some way, right? Um, that so yeah, as we come into Wednesday on the 30th, we've got Venus starting her opposition to Jupiter. So she's in Jupiter's sign, and Jupiter's retrograde and in Gemini. So it's kind of like, well, you're at my home right now. So there's that. Now, as we come into All Hallows, Samhain, Halloween, whatever you like to call it, we've got a grand water trine in the sky. This is going to be a very mystical Halloween, I feel, especially because we're at the dark of the moon, right? This is a balsamic moon, so a very potent time, a very powerful time. And on top of that, we've got this grand water trine in the air between Mars, Mercury, and Neptune. I would not be surprised if at this time all of us are having all kinds of really powerful and potent dreams. When they say that this is the point of the year where the veil between worlds thins, I'm gonna say this will be true for all of us at this time, especially when you look at this chart, right? There's a lot going on here. And then obviously Venus in this chart is still in Sagittarius, which is the sign of meaning, but it's also a sign of prophecy and vision. And so Venus bringing her energy into Sagittarius, I do wonder if at this time we are able to tap into these things that much more, or at least give them a voice. For those of you that are writers, bloggers, even those of you that are YouTubers, this could be a really great time where you gain some kind of powerful insight. Because you've got this opposition to Jupiter coming in, though, and this is, Venus is opposing her current ruler, if you like. Um, Watch out for anything around or with legal matters. Watch out for anything with or around contracts to do with, publishers, people that you're going to work with or alongside. Just make sure that you're not over promising, and make sure that you're also not underselling yourself, right? Don't sell yourself short. This is not one of those times to do that or to feed into that kind of energy. So let me check the comments. I think my Venus has packed up and left town. It can kind of feel like that sometimes, but it just depends what else is happening in your chart. We'll skip over Venus, over Scorpio Venus in my 12th last month, then Raf. I'm so sorry. If I missed it, I apologize. Watkins Cat House says, I watch you because you don't have a filter. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Venus in my fourth house, and I want to get away, but I'm craving comfort. Yeah, right. So if Venus is currently in your fourth house, that means you're a Virgo ascendant. And so she rules your second house of resources and food, right? And she also rules your seventh of relationships. So this might be a really good time to snuggle up to a partner if you have one. It might be a time to maybe hold a really small but intimate gathering of your nearest and dearest. Cook for them, laugh with them, cook your favorite foods, make a plate for your ancestors. I'm a big, big lover of this, especially on All Hallows, right, or Samhain. And there's a legend in the area that I grew up. There was a local. So my first ever witch mentor was bat nuts, right? She was definitely a little bit. But one of the things that she said to us was she tasked us, like she said, if you're really serious about learning, I want you to find me the 10 most prominent facts of all of the local lore around magic and witchcraft and all those things. And I thought that was a really great project, especially as like I'm a real I'm a bit of a book witch in that regard, right? Like I like those kinds of things. And one of them was that on if you prepare a meal, if you ever attend or throw a party around All Hallows, or you could just prepare a meal, right? Even if it's not a holiday, you would prepare that meal and you would leave it out, right? And you would just go about your day or whatever. And it said that whoever is the first person to eat from that plate would be your partner, would be like your significant other. So if you're single, make a plate. If you're having a party or whatever and you're inviting other fellow singles, right? Obviously, this is not going to work if you're throwing a kids' party or whatever, but like if you're throwing a party where there are going to be other singles and whatnot, create a plate, leave it, don't say whose it is, and just see who eats from it, because that may very well be your significant other to be. So, anyway, there's that. And there's also the practice of making a plate of food that your ancestors who are no longer with you would have absolutely loved. Now, that can be anything. And it's said, though, that if you're preparing the food, you're not meant to add salt to it because salt sends the dead away. Now, there is one little conflict with this. My great grandmother on my mum's side would put salt on her salt for her dinner, right? I mean, like she was about that salt. So I always say, like, if I'm ever making food for her, I will put salt in that food because I know she'll be over there on the other side cussing me out because there's no damn salt in the food, right? Remember, your ancestors will still carry their essence. Be true to who they are, right? Obviously, you know, just manage it. Anyway, Dagger says, no, no, I meant that Scorpio Venus was a wild time for me. Oh, okay. Mum's the word. I love it. Okay, so now, moving on. I'm going to stop sharing this. My cat would probably eat the food. Well, there you go. You're going to be Kelly McKeever. You're going to be that wonderful cat lady that everybody knows. Nothing wrong with that. That's going to be me. That's my future. Raph and his 20 cats. I don't know. Is there a male version of a word spinster? I don't know. Heidi, absolutely, absolutely give Nana her salt. Because I'm telling you, listen, she would cuss you. I'm telling you, be out here, you don't put no salt in your food. She would tell you straight, there ain't no salt in this food. So you know what? She would put salt on salt for I'm telling you, right? And like people think I exaggerate, but I kid you not. Like when it came to the salt, Nana was serious. My mum loved sugar. Make her a cake. Do you know one thing that I've really noticed that, and maybe this is just my ancestors, but one thing that they absolutely love that I make is a honey and cinnamon cake. Like, and then whatever, once that is finished, and you know, it's really weird, but I've noticed that once they've partaken of it, it has like a different quality of it. And rather than throw it out, I actually take it to the woods and just put it out for like birds or whatever to eat. I rescue my own. I rescue. We own 16. Nobody has me beat. I love it. Watkins is like, listen, these captains, my babies. All right, so I would invite you to take a breath with me. Take a moment. Before we start, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, like peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So, for these cards, the first one is going to be our love magnet, right? So, how do we tap into the energy of attraction and connection in love and relationships this week? Somebody, can you please tell me when to stop? Oh my gosh, Heidi, look at that. Yeah, Ollie, try it. You might have some good results. Just make a plate and just see who's the first to eat from it. Okay. Stop. Okay. So, wow, look at that. You couldn't ask for any more. So, the love magnet for this week is the Two of Cups. This is a love and relationship card. And the beauty of this card is it's not a like obviously depending on what it's mixed with, yes, this can be true love, but truthfully speaking, the Two of Cups wants to become the Ten of Cups, so this is the potential. So this week it really is about the potential connections that are made. This is really like if you're single, this is about connecting with one or more people and seeing that there is actually potential in it for you. If you're single and you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I don't know if there, if this is ever going to happen for me, this week you will have an experience that makes you think, like, oh no, actually, there is love in the world for me, and I'm okay to wait for it to show up. For those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitment, this is a beautiful time of harmony and connection. This is also a time for you to understand the deeper meaning. Remember, Venus is in Sagittarius. This is the week where you understand the deeper meaning of the relationship that you're in. For those of you that are widowed or widowed, this is really about the fact that love lives on after it, after our significant other passes away. And it also suggests to me that there is a seed of new love in your life that may show up. And for those of you that are divorced and or separating, there are going to be a lot of reminders this week of why the relationship was good. And I think this is going to help you really say, you know what, while it's ended and it's come to a close and it's become what it's become, it wasn't always that. And so I'm okay with taking the good memories and leaving the past, leaving the bad ones to the past. All right. So the second card is the creative spark, and it is the devil, right? Do you remember what I said about Venus in Sag? Right. This is like the girl with the paintbrush in her hair, holding her, right, or the like. I mean, it's Venus, so it's a feminine energy, but you get my drift, right? It's funny because I find that Venus in Sag women are, a little bit grunge, but totally girly, totally badass, really opinionated, and really like sassy, but loving and funny and bright with it. And I find that Venus in Sag men, they tend to be a bit more like, do you know what I mean? Like they're usually a little bit rugged, but they're still a little bit like prissy, if that makes sense. And this is all love, so don't be out here getting offended, right? Um, but with the devil card for this creative spark, this is about being okay with tapping into your deeper sense of self-expression and being okay to get a little bit edgy with it. Remember, the devil is about obsession, it's about addiction, it's about habits and patterns. And maybe, just maybe, this is also a message to say break out of the box rather than keeping that, quirky outfit or that funky pair of shoes or whatever that you wouldn't usually wear out because it's not appropriate or whatever. Yeah, right. Strut it about a bit, get a little bit edgy. Let people see that side of you, right? That just really doesn't give a shit. Sorry, YouTube guys. Bad Ravi. Like just yeah, don't be afraid to throw it all in a little bit and get a bit edgy with it because the devil card, like when the devil card represents a person, it's usually somebody that is like all of the right kinds of wrong. You know what I mean? Like, they don't bring out the best in you, but at the same time, it's a good time, right? Now, for your third card, your harmony booster. How do we bring more harmony, balance, and joy and pleasure into this life? By fighting for those things. One thing that I can tell you about all Sagittarians that I know, right? Even the ones that are a little quieter, they are not afraid to fight for what they believe in, right? And this Seven of Wands is literally that. The way that we boost harmony and balance and pleasure and joy and bring those into our lives, it's not. Sometimes we have to fight for those things. Sometimes we have to really fight for them to carve them out in our world, right? To say, this is what balance looks like to me. This is what brings meaning to my life. And I'm not going to have anybody take that away from me, right? I love that. I'm just a love machine. Yeah, that one and Right Kind of Wrong by Leanne Rhymes. That's the Venus song for this week, right? So drop some hearts for me in the comments right now. This is your Venus song, right? For Friday, I always give you a Venus song. So this week's Venus song is Right Kind of Wrong by Leanne Rhymes. Always a good one. To answer your question, Watkins Cat House, are you still doing yearly life path number overview? Man, I love those. I know it's only October, but with all the changes, I wonder if you're going to cancel those. Not in a million. They will absolutely be out next month, as will the sign readings, as will the personal, because I open up a set of spaces for personal ones as well in December. They're all coming. They're not going anywhere, so don't worry. But yeah, Right Kind of Wrong, Leanne Rhymes. Okay, that's the Venus song this week. So I'm gonna give these a shuffle. Let's get into the sign by or the element breakdown. When you're ready, just say when or stop. Jack, where you been, dude? Good to have you. Good to have you. All right, when? So for the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, you have the Six of Wands. Celebrate your life, celebrate your wins, right? This is a week for you to really like the way that you get the most out of the Venus energy this week. And if you're a fire sign, if you're a Saggy, Venus is in your sign, so she's beautifying you, she's harmonizing you, she's making you more attractive to everyone around you. If you're a Leo or an Aries, this is an energy that is trying to you, right? This is an energy that's sending positive, harmonious energy to you by its very nature. And so, what this really says to me is this is a week to celebrate all of it, right? No matter how small, no matter how big, this is a week for you to really relish and revel in all of the good stuff that is in your life. And furthermore, with the Six of Wands, this is a week where you are going to see at least one little win that is going to start a cascade of wins that go forward. Love that. For the air signs, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, you have the Hermit card. So, honestly, aside from all of the usual meanings of this, I actually feel like this is about you being okay with shining your own light, right? So, if you're an Aquarius, Gemini, or Libra, this is really about you sharing some aspect of yourself and not worrying about what the response is going to be, right? This is about going out on a limb, sharing something that is either unique, something that hasn't been done by you before, sharing something that you believe that you've never really talked about before, and being okay with being out on that ledge. And you know what happens as a result of this? You realize not only are you not made of glass and you didn't break when someone says, I disagree, right? But you also find that you fulfill the role in your life as a light to other people. Now, this is important because whether you are out here on YouTube, whether you work in a supermarket, whether you are the head of a school, like whatever you do, you are here in some way, shape, or form to shine your light as an example for other people. If you're an air sign, Venus is really asking you to do that this week in some way, shape, or form. All right, and for the water signs, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, you have the High Priestess. Well, it looks like the water signs are keeping it to themselves. Okay. Now, remember, the High Priestess is hidden things revealed, but it's also your own psychic energies and powers. And what this means is this week, your Venusian energy or the way that you tap into it, it will be more internal. It's going to be more of what's happening on the inside and the shifts and changes that are taking place there in order for you to prepare to bring something out into the world. This is probably going to heighten intuition for you guys as well, and it may even put you in touch with people or places where veiled women feature in some way, shape, or form. And then finally, and the image that I'm getting in my mind of that, and they're not veiled, but they are dressed in a certain type of garb. I don't know if you've seen it. They've got those massive skin drums, and I think they're like the feminine version of the whirling dervishes. Uh, Absolutely brilliant and almost like meditative to watch. Oliver Twisted says, Lord knows I need it. Self for once is okay. Damn straight, Ollie. Right? You're like literally that. Uh, well, I don't know what that means, Jen. If I don't really know what that means for you. Anyway, for your earth signs, Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo, you have the Lovers card. Venus is about love, partnership, relationship. So if you're a Taurus, Capricorn, or a Virgo, this is really asking you to tap into making the choice about your relationship, whether this is the choice to really be in it and to get back to being more present, or whether it's about expanding whatever it could be, making the choice to be in a partnership or to forego that for this moment in time for something else as you move forward. Remember, the Lovers card is love, partnership, relationship. For a select few of you, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo, there might be people to choose between. So therapy time with Jen says tarot is also a bunch of crap. I've decided after 4 years. Okay, well, that's cool. I mean, you don't have to be here, lovely. And to be quite frank, I'm pretty sure that anybody in the Radiant Nation doesn't want you here if you're bringing that kind of vibe. um, so, one second. Yeah, let's do this. And then just, okay, let's do that. Sorry, Heidi, I accidentally pushed the wrong button and I put you in a timeout. That was my bad. Anyway, let's bring it back. All right. Um, oh, here we go. So for no, you don't have to report them. For me personally, that stuff is. I'm not out here. I'm almost a decade into my professional tarot reading slash astrology, etc. career. And at this point, my level of not tolerance, that's a bad word and it's the wrong word, but my need to convince people that what I do is real, gone. Long gone. I genuinely don't care for that. I don't need to. My community, my client roster speaks for itself. I've got people that I've been reading for now for as long as I've been doing this professionally. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't even it's not that, it's you guys that I worry about, and I don't want people bringing that kind of energy to the space, right? Yes, actually, you are 100% right. So I'm gonna choose a few right now. Laurel Berg, you are going to be one of my moderators. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Heidi, you are going to be one of my moderators. Um, and if I do three for now, because I know there's some of you that are often always here. Ollie, I will also make you one as well. Okay. All right. So yes, sorry about that, as I was rudely interrupted. When it comes to the earth signs, the Lover's card. Sometimes this can speak to a menage a trois. So you might be bringing an extra person in. Maybe you're polyamorous. Maybe you are thinking about opening up your relationship. There's nothing wrong with that at all, right? If that works for you and everybody's consenting and it's going to bring something wonderful to your life, if you're an earth sign, this is a fantastic time to go for it. And yet, remember, the Lover's card is also about choice. So this is, I think, for a lot of you this week, making a choice as to what is it that I'm really getting out of my relationship, and what does that mean for my life moving forward? Thus concludes. If you love the way that I do astrology or tarot and you want to get a personal session with me, you can do so on the link in the description box below. For those of you that are here right now, you always have my heart. Thank you so much for making these days really awesome for me. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you that are watching this after the fact, you also have my heart, and I'm so very grateful for you and to you. Remember, guys, hit the like button, share this with somebody that you think could get something out of it. I really, really do. Um, yeah, yeah, thank you, Watkins. That was a really good idea, and I really, really do appreciate it. Have a fantastic day wherever you go, whatever you're doing. You know Rafi loves you. Go out there and be who you're destined to be. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you all.